Uh,
A
okay,
place in my
let's continue.
heart, a place in my mind.
Wrong game, Jova. That song is not in this game. Fortunately, the soundtrack of this game is actually pretty kick-ass. So no. What was the name of that stupid region again, too? Teo?
Did he forget?
Uh, okay,
Sorry.
I guess Teo died. Okay.
Sorry. Tell me.
What was the name of that stupid song? A place in my heart, a place in my soul.
Mind, a place for the souls that are running
Whatever.
out of time.
Don't remember. Let me.
What was
have
the
a quick
region
check.
though? I forgot the name of the region where it plays
Which
in.
region?
The area, the area where it plays.
No, but I mean from this game, you mean?
No, in 13.2.
Oh, I think it's the Yasama sheep during.
Yeah, that's it. That Yasama sheep.
During
That's
the
it.
eclipse, but let me check just for confirming.
Ooh, a temple.
Always trust the wiki.
Anyway, yeah, basically what we're gonna do here is while we're looking for the cactuar that has the last fragment for Dodge, we're also going to take advantage to get some of the main desert quest work done as well. Why not? Because we have to get 3 specific tablets. Let's just say that the game. I wish the game would let us know this earlier, but I will. But because here's an interesting thing. This tablet that I'm about to get, we're gonna need this for the main dungeon. Here's the problem: the game only tells us this when we go into that main dungeon. So the moment we learn about that, we have to go back outside of the dungeon to get these. And because apparently we couldn't have this be told to us before we get to the dungeon.
Jesus.
Brilliant, Mr. Toriyama. Brilliant.
So, this is an underground desert. What is it, like a tomb or something?
It's a ruin. It's a generic desert ruin with a altar at the end with a treasure. You know what it is.
I was wondering if it might be a tomb.
Hope,
But okay.
can you tell me anything about this?
Let me see. Well, I can tell you with certainty that it's old.
No shit.
No,
Let me see if I can sum this up. It's old, so let's see. It's something mystical, though.
It must need other parts in order to work.
Basically, you need to find other parts. There, I summed up his dialogue in about a
We
tenth
totally
of the
needed
time
that,
that he
though,
spent
don't
with
you
those
see?
words.
Don't you see, Jova? This game loves to hear itself talk.
Ugh.
What was she even attacking?
The
Wait,
skeletons. Basically,
Oh,
there's a lot of
those
one
are
of the gimmicks of these temples in the desert is that there's skeletons that look like they're just statues, and some of them are indeed just statues, but some of them are actually enemies in disguise.
why would you make skeleton statues?
This is
Anyway,
a common thing in JRPGs. So.
Anyway, I actually
Statues
found
literally
the
made of
lyrics,
skeleton, though? That seems odd.
Oh, actually, the Victory first game. Anyway, I found that the theme is actually the one of the Brescia ruins.
That's it, the pressure ruins. Well, the thing is, too, usually when I play this game, I usually use the default outfit, the 13.1 outfit, and the 13.2 outfit, since those are the ones that are at the very least, story related.
So, is this thing actually a tomb where some of the dead lie? Like, what's up with the skeletons?
Supposedly. I
They're
don't
just
know.
enemies that you're supposed to beat, Jova. The game doesn't bother to actually give some kind of context for what these things are here.
Again,
They're
is it...
spooky, Jova. Don't you see? They're skeletons. Ooh.
So, this implies that there are undead in, let me remind you, a world where everyone is, quote-unquote, dead already.
Not just that, Jova.
There you go,
but-
Teo, the shitty 13.2
Yep. Not just that, Jova. We did establish since the first game that the equivalent of the undeads in this war continuity are the people, the thief, the people who don't manage to fulfill their focus and become these monsters, because they're actually called like actual undead. Ghoul, Geist, vampires, Strigoi, all that fucking shit.
I
So
guess-
introducing traditional undead and then now completely demonstrates once again that this trilogy doesn't have an identity anymore.
I guess to be fair, there's no foul seed to turn people into thief anymore, so...
Yeah, Jova, but I'm sorry, like, it's showcase, it's just a great showcase of the lack of focus, commitment, and actual continuity that they try to have.
Yeah.
It's so, like, again, I mean, it's not like the first 13 had so much, you know, stuff that needed to be kept anyway, but a minimal staying consistent for the sake of it would have been nice.
I mean,
you can't just throw in everything that, you know, that's loosely based on the franchise in the third game and claim that you're actually faithful to the franchise, because I take that more offense to that.
I mean, honestly, you know, look, if there are going to be changes, I'll understand, but run with those changes and don't just have them be there for the sake of it. Because, like, I think the issue with this game trying to change things up is like, well, you know what, okay, you want to go for a completely different direction with the sequel? That's fine, but don't contradict yourself by using the same looking area, the same textures. It's practically I mean, 13.2 was practically the same game as 13, just with more freedom, and yet did some things worse somehow.
So Pedro, which Colossus did you actually fell in this area?
Yeah, those bones are giant. I wonder what giant
Actually,
beast
the
might have
place is
left
called
them.
the remains of the Colossi or something.
We're
Yeah.
never gonna see what that costs.
Also, why this theme for this area? That was the
Don't worry,
Urva
Jova.
village
Don't worry,
theme
Jova.
from 32.
Don't worry, Joe, but just wait for the playthrough we're doing after this.
Wait, what?
Shadow of the
Right.
Colossus, Jova.
Well, okay, that's fine, but seriously though, why bother showing us these dead beings when we never even get to see them?
It's well, it's a thing that happens in a lot of games, not just this one, Jova. It's
Well,
for
at
the
least
sake
in
of
most-
showcasing that there was. Like Subnautica does that as well, for example.
Oh, I haven't played that game. I mean, at least in most other games, sure, they don't always even show them, but at least we get more knowledge about them. I mean, otherwise, there's not much point in just showing an area called this or that, and then not at least explaining why it is the way it is.
Alright, let's continue.
Although,
and-
to be fair, you can fight a monster.
Oh,
a super
where the
boss
heck
in
did that guy come from?
It just teleports like that.
it just teleports like that. The monsters in
But
this game come
also,
from the chaos.
also, Jova, to be fair, you can actually fight a very gigantic monster in the desert as a super boss. It's just that Pedro doesn't show it because it's not really worth showing.
It's a lot of trouble for very little reward. Which
Yeah,
is
the Iron Knight.
Does the boss look good?
not
Yeah,
really.
to be fair, yes, it's a punch swap of
Yeah.
the dragon of the second game, so that monster design alone will be fine. And it's themed after the Iron Knight, which is a relatively common monster from the franchise. So that spot is being checked, I guess.
The boss
I
just
don't feel-
farted on me.
Wait, this is a boss? I thought this was a big move.
Well, in the Golden
So
Ninja
it's
Baja.
one is one for the Chocobo Eater.
Yeah.
Like you get
Oh, I
the-
forgot
Don't you
about
see,
the
Jova? Don't you see,
Chocobo
Jova?
Eater.
Don't you see, Jova? Make it brown, light brown instead of green, and change its name from Chocobo Eater to Earth Eater. There you go. Totally different monster.
So we're essentially fighting a boss just to get through.
No, it's I
It
chose
was
to
in
battle
the
him.
way. It
It
was in the
wasn't-
way, sir.
Okay.
You were in my way, sir.
Boom, boom.
There you go.
Okay,
Moving
Shiroi.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, what do you have to contribute on the situation?
Hey, look, lizards. Let's shoot them so we can get their silver tails.
Sure, why not?
Forward with their arrest.
Let's murder some
But I wouldn't
lizards.
let your guard
I
down if I
guess.
were
Well, actually, Shiro, that's what we do to get more stamina in
That's
Shadow of the
not very
Colossus.
polite to say, Shiro. Come on.
And
Yeah, but yeah, we need that stamina, goddammit. Alright, once again, activate the fast travel point. Hope, shut the fuck up, I don't care.
There is no off button for him.
No, there isn't, he just doesn't shut up. Again, Shiro, this game loves to hear itself talk.
Oh boy, we're about to meet actually a character that actually made me raise a lot of eyebrows during
I wouldn't
development.
call this a
really, concept-wise
Yes,
or...
Design-wise and plot-wise, because they make a big deal, especially if they made a big deal during development of showcasing him. But in the actual game, it does practically nothing. He introduces you to the party member that's in this area, spoiler is Fang,
And that's
and
it.
that's it. Look at that! It's fucking Dart from the Legend of Dragoon. What are you doing here?
Also, he looks a bit like
Easter
Dante
egg?
with... He looks like Dante with a
That's
headband.
exactly what I need. That and some answers to a few questions I have.
A woman who knows what she wants.
Also, that voice is so
Fire away and
unfitting.
I'll do my
He even acts a bit
Rumor
like
has it that
Dante.
you bandits might be able to tell me about the Holy Clavis.
He even has a sword on his back like Dante from Devil May Cry. What the heck?
You don't look like one of those
Is that why they made such a big deal about him?
possible use that
No.
you have for the clap.
Not really. They just did
Why
the big
should
deal
I
about
have
him,
to tell you that?
and I don't know why. Like
You shouldn't, and you don't. You're not one of us, so you can do whatever you want.
that's the true
But I'm
sign
telling you
of
nothing.
a game that has
If you wanna know what we know
nothing
about the
to
class, you'll just have to
up
join
its
our gang,
sleeve.
Monoculus.
To take a character
Have you
that's
ever wanted to be a
completely
bandit?
unimportant
Now's your
and make a
chance.
big deal out of him.
That just
Yeah,
ain't
it's even
so
called
easy.
Adonis, which
But
is
we'll at
actually
least let
supposedly
you
an
try
important
out.
name. But
If you don't
again,
like that,
it's
then
not
I think you
important.
know
It's
what
not
he
even
thinks
worth
it is.
of a
all
dichotomy.
I've gotta
So
say.
what the
Subverting
fuck?
expectations? Stupidly?
Also, his gear is actually very impractical.
It is. It really
I
is.
know I
Alright,
shouldn't
this
say
was a
this
bit-
considering it's Final Fantasy. Oh my god.
Still
Hold up.
talking.
You ready to
Okay,
see if
so
you've got what it
basically,
takes to join
here's the
Monoculus?
basic gist of it. In order to be able to you know, explore everything and see if I can find the
There's a giant
clavis
sandstorm in the desert.
that supposedly, you know, is an artifact that can help me save souls. I have to get permission to enter into the band of thieves that lives in this settlement. However, in order to join the gang of thieves, I have to partake on the initiation test.
You
Initiation test
know,
consists of
Magic or a curse or something.
taking care of a tornado and make it stop, because apparently that's something that people can do.
well, as Futurama showed, you can actually try and shrink it.
Yeah, sure.
What? You think a human can control the weather? That's just crazy talk.
A reminder that the
but
first
isn't
15
this
and
part of
second,
the...
there were actually devices. But
Hold on, wait, hold on. He says that a human that can control the weather is crazy talk, yet isn't controlling the weather part of the initiation, though?
So if you wanted
You figured that one out, Jova.
Like, I mean, so you're essentially admitting that your initiation is complete BS, right?
Yes, he
Right.
is.
Oh dear.
You see, Joe. You see, Joe. But the apocalypse removed everybody of their will to live, as well as their brains. So
doing what
well, considering
Both
everything, I
figures,
don't.
both. No, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
don't think they had one to begin with.
you were saying, Shirei?
Yeah, both literally and figuratively.
Whee!
I wish I was playing Journey.
Also, the camera just doesn't work because lightning goes too fast.
But look at that water effect there. It's the same splash every time I step in the water.
Jesus.
It's a very small splash.
You know, there's potential with worlds as quote-unquote big and varied as this in the grassy level, which has a lot of different communities in it. That's all fine and dandy. The problem is that they don't do much with them.
Don't worry, Teo. We'll do the Bhakti side quest, so you'll see for yourself.
It's a thing that Pedro did not show in the first game because, again, it's not a thing that was really important. Bhakti is essentially a pet robot of Fang and Vanille. You could find it in Urban, and it basically told you your game stats, like how many feet you actually did of distance through the entire game, like how much did you had your character move, shits like that. And you could get some minor, trophies and minor bonuses tied to that. But
It's just gameplay. It's just a gameplay thing. He only has an actual character and story in this game, which I will be showing off.
Oh no, some more monsters when we actually
have to fight the giant hedgehog.
I think that must be
An actual
I think it's a porcupine.
whatever.
Or maybe, I don't know, it looks more like, especially considering when you remove actually the shell, it looks more like a lizard under the thing.
It's
so,
a lizard armadillo.
Of
So
course,
they're
we're
going
operating
Avatar
on Avatar Master Bender.
No, wait, it's actually Guren Gator.
Gurangach.
Why not just a glob 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 glala?
No, please, Jola, please, no.
Alright, basically just keep throwing Fandaras on him until you...
That's a sign of a great game, right? Just spam the only one spell until you win.
But hey, Lightning actually gave an emotional grunt there.
There you go.
Ah, jeez.
So basically this monster was the one causing the tornado, wasn't it?
No,
Well,
well,
he was guarding one of the
Oh,
amulets.
never
he was
mind.
guarding the talisman thing.
The theory,
I wish I was playing Spyro too.
Oh, no, never mind, a crux. That's it.
Wait, I thought you said you weren't gonna tell her anything until she joined your group.
Also, what's that weapon? Flamethrower? A machine gun?
I have no idea.
We never see him using it, so...
But it's okay, Jova, because Lightning is no normal human. She's the savior chosen by God, so she can actually stop the tornado.
And let me guess, she's gonna use the artifact to do it.
Actually make it work.
Yeah. Only God's
She
chosen
actually felt
servant
an
can.
emotion.
Only God's chosen servant can do this.
Remember, Jova, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
I
for
mean,
some
I
reason.
guess it's a legit story reason for why she's so stupidly overpowered. She literally has the
Not
will
just
of
that,
God.
Jova, why did Boonivels actually put the actual effort to create a tornado in this area to be solved by lightning? Because
Padding.
remember, this world, even though it's still in bad condition, it was still kind of affected partially by Boonivels' will. So,
You know, I think I've realized a
Because
recurring
Bowser was
problem.
feeling bored and wanted to mess with lightning.
You know, I think I've realized a recurring problem with the 13 trilogy. It repeats the issue that Sonic 06 had with its villains. Only here's the thing, with each Final Fantasy 13 game, it gets worse and worse. Like, one of the biggest problems with 06 was how overpowered the villain Mephiles was, to the point where the only reason he didn't win was because he was freaking stupid. Like, he could do almost anything that would help him achieve his goals. Now, let's look at the 13 games. The first 13 game. Okay, we have the Super Pope, who was essentially in charge of both humans and Fal'Cie. He could have easily have constructed an easy plan to just get some people branded lessees and have them kill him. That should have been easy. But he does not take every opportunity he has because he's an idiot. But okay, fine.
Yeah.
He's a pope. He was, he was relegated to, political stance here and there, and he wasn't the most powerful
and it
being.
was a falsity to the core, probably blinded by stupidity by its own nature.
Then comes 13-2 with Caius, who was
With
pretty
Caius,
much
who
super
cannot-
Mephiles.
Not just that, Jova, there's the basic portal that I keep mentioning. He can potentially commit suicide, and as soon as the Art of Chaos actually gets destroyed, so does the Chaos gets released, but he never actually contemplates the opportunity until the very end.
And apparently the only reason he didn't do that was because they released in some BS in the ending of 13-2 that he and Yuo actually secretly had an evil plan, and it was never about him getting killed. Even though that never comes to fruition in this game.
Now that I've actually
Alright, time to see the
succeeded.
mystery and see who the boss is.
You ready to go meet the boss now?
It's you,
So
isn't
let's
it?
see.
Wonder.
It's
No, it's not
Adonis.
you.
It's Adonis, isn't it? Oh wait,
Oh,
never
no,
mind,
I-
it's probably
I-
Fang.
I already... Oh, we saved his soul in the process. So.
Yeah.
That's
Nice.
nice that they don't even acknowledge that. Just
Fang.
have it do it randomly.
Oh, it's Fang. What a surprise. Now start smooching you two.
Now remember to, Fang's heart belongs to Vanille.
Yet Fang flirted with what? You know what? Maybe we're just reading too deeply into that.
Here she is, boss.
Maybe
New
she's
recruit
just a
with the crazy
woman of,
powers.
large
It's just like you said, the
seaside.
truck's lit up like a candle.
Maybe she's a two-timer.
Perfect timing.
Good eye, mate.
Say it.
Glad you could make it.
No, that's not long time no see. Come on, game. You disappoint me.
What? No hugs and tears for an old friend?
Huh.
Not
Fang's
unexpected,
acting
though.
pretty...
I would give you hugs and a hug if I actually cared about you.
My god.
Jova, don't get your hopes
Well, I'm
up.
glad to
She's
see
gonna
you're still
ruin
the
her
same.
character in a
It's been a
second.
long
I don't know, I
time.
mean, Fang's actually acting like her normal self, and she's a character
Trust
who's
me,
not...
Jova, cherish it.
She's
I
not
guess the
moping,
part has
you know,
to
she's
Cherish
actually...
it.
She's actually
They're more
doing
than just
something
human.
productive, helping these people
Cher-
out.
Cherish
From
every
God
bit
now.
of positivity that you're seeing right now.
Okay, is there anything that's good about her right now that's not gonna get thrown out the window by the end of this game?
Nope.
Her beauty.
Isn't it
Fine.
nice to
Fine,
explain
she's still
things?
cute, I guess.
Yeah, I
Though
heard
that's
about
kind of not the
Swashbuckling.
first thing I look for in a woman.
The double tail in front of her
They
costume
love
is still
talking
silly,
about their
though.
savior.
Just admire her belly
He
button, I
released the
guess.
order, but
That
didn't
said, though, beauty is not the first thing...
Remember, Jova, Toriyama is a
Those
man.
tastes aren't exactly
It
my
may be a
kind of
man
people.
of weird,
I
bizarre
stuck around to
fetishes,
look
but he
after
still
the
have,
men,
and
but then
nonetheless,
something
remember,
else came
lining in practically almost
after
all her
close
costume
them.
actually exposes her armpits.
It's been
Ugh.
sealed away
But
for
not
ages,
her
though, and
boobs.
No one's got even close
Eh.
to it.
Trust me, Jova, the internet is a
Beginning to
weird
think
place
I'd
when
have
it
to
comes
give
to
up.
these kind of things.
But then
Anyway,
you came
so
along
what
and
exactly is
worked
Fang
your
doing
magic
here?
with that crux.
She's
How about
running
we
this
team up?
guild, supposedly.
I want to get that clavis before the order does.
But
There you go,
yeah.
she wants to get the
Ah.
clavis before the order does.
But why? if you remember, Vanille is actually leading the order.
Secret
So
sacrifice. They're setting her up to be a sacrificial lamb, aren't they? And Vanille is none the wiser. Am I right? Do I win a prize?
we'll see.
Yes,
Jova.
you do.
Yes,
Yes,
Jova,
you
you
do,
win the
Jova.
ability to continue seeing this
Got
game.
lots to talk about.
I mean, fine. Okay, fine. It's an interesting topic to tackle. Problem is, this game just goes to one plot element, zoom, goes to another plot element, zoom, when they just so happen to intertwine. Oh hey, we almost forgot about that. Like, even the characters sometimes act like they forgot about plot crucial elements.
Yeah, Jova, like, honest comparison between this and Legend of Mana, what do you think is the game that actually zigzags the most between its story arcs?
This one does it worse. Legend of Mana, oh look, first of all, Legend of Mana was an older game that was, you know, stepping outside the comfort zone, so I can understand mistakes it made. And, you know, Legend of Mana, it still had endearing characters. And heck,
Dude, I'm gonna have to interrupt you there, but listen here.
Oh,
You do realize that you did too, right? Yet you sure make it sound like it has nothing to do with you.
That is horrible, horrible script writing right there. That's like, congratulations, writer. You've just achieved a Valhalla of horrible screenwriting. They literally just have Hope exposit Fang's basic information about who she is for those who haven't played the first game, and Lightning literally calls out on him on his pure raw exposition by saying, "You realize you've met her too, though, and yet you're just acting like you haven't actually fought with her." That is
that was
horrible.
That's
That
like-
is some of the most horrible script writing I've ever seen.
At best, it's a terrible attempt of trying to be meta or fourth wall breaking.
It's literally the it's literally pretty much like the same problem as the "as you know," and then they start explaining everything.
Yeah.
Well, if he already knows, why are you explaining it?
I mean, you know,
Never.
the time I've seen that kind of thing being working is with military briefing, because actually those are part of the protocol.
and it makes sense in
Screenwriting
a
101. Aside from the exception that Theo just mentioned, never start your line of dialogue with "as you know."
To be fair,
Go ahead,
it
Pedro.
works in Ace Attorney because that's how legal procedures actually work too.
And it will make sense
guess.
because, you know, attorneys and prosecutors need to be constantly reminded of what the situation is in order to construct a decent, what's the name, you know,
Court
talking
structure.
session.
Oh,
Not
yeah.
very
So if
really
that does
matters with
happen to-
not very really matter with Phoenix. He can just improvise the shit out of it anyway. But whatever, and that's
And if
besides
there
the point.
if there happens to be a jury involved, then they need to be reminded as well.
Yeah, jury duty
po-
can be quite the
Anyway,
strain.
yeah, we need to get
If
the
I ra-
boxes.
If I ever was reading a script for approval and I saw a line like that in that script, the first thing I would do is fire that
Into the
screenwriter
trash
and,
you go.
and burn the
No,
script.
no, you have to give them a warning. You hit them over the head with the script and tell them to try again.
Bonus points if
No.
that script is as huge as David Cage's script, because then you may have attempted murder on your hands. But anyway, going back to the trend.
Kill anyone unless it. Oh yeah, it's certificate script.
So
after
yeah,
you-
in an extremely rare occasion for this game, Fang actually joined as a party member, sorta. You can't change her gear and everything. She just tags along for battles, and that's it.
You know,
I'd
this.
hate to see the script for Detroit, considering that has multiple stories.
You know, this game just makes me realize how much we took for granted the party in 13. Not that, you know, they were the best thing, but you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again, the party members outside of Lightning had more potential than Lightning herself. Like, I mean, and that's just a problem that's been exemplified with each sequel, like...
Gameplay-wise, I can tell you Lightning was still technically one of the best party members you could get, because she was a jack of all... She, being the protagonist, supposedly, she was the jack of all stats that actually gets the better kind of stats.
Maybe.
Rarely does gameplay ever make a character popular. Like, seriously, Yuffie was one of the best party members, and yet, for some reason, people hated her for a long time.
Yeah. And
Like-
you know what's interesting? Again, the data log is still a thing in this game. If you players who haven't played the previous games can just check the data log for this kind of information. So why are you having the characters talk about it? I mean, when it comes to this particular type of information about the previous games, you can actually afford to put in a data log because, well, obviously you don't expect the game to stop every 2 minutes to explain something that happened in the previous games, right? So
Yeah.
that particular bit of information that you will actually afford to put it in the dialogue, and yet they don't. Like, I don't get it, Toriyama. You didn't have any problems handling exposition in the Final Fantasy X duology. Why is this such a problem for you here?
Heck, for better comparison, Ace Attorney, which actually relies on text way more than this game, even Ace Attorney doesn't always recap everything. What Ace Attorney does is essentially it only recaps stuff when, say, something or someone from a previous game or element tied into the current events actually enters into the main play. Like, seriously, with Trials and Tribulations, we only got the recap and backstory about Franziska when she showed up and when it was from Phoenix's perspective. Like, because we didn't even need it when she was against Edgeworth in that game.
But I just skipped over that particular shrine because all shrines are the exact same thing. Trust me, you don't have to see them. It's again, it's like, okay, Final Fantasy X was terrible, in my opinion at least. However, if there's one thing that game did not have the problem with is exposition, because it had Tidus, and if there's one thing that Tidus did well in that stupid game,
being the audience surrogate,
the time we got to a new region that looks weird and out there, Tidus will look all stupid, and Waka will turn to him, oh, that's right, you've never been here, it's been 1,000 years. Let me explain to you what this town's about. This is so, you got this very basic aspect of screenwriting right in that game. Well, actually, technically, Kitase was directing 10, but he was the event director for 10, and he directed 10-2, and 10-2 didn't have exposition problems. So what the fuck happened with this trilogy? Why does this trilogy have such big problems with exposition?
Heck, and again, Toriyama did help out with Final Fantasy VII. A lot of, well, you know, the not quite the...
Well, let's not forget the panties.
Not just that.
Well, okay.
Did not have the previous installment to actually explain what other stuff may have been.
Well, neither did 10 at the time,
the other game Toriyama worked on, Revenant Wings. But if I recall correctly, the game doesn't even explain, it just assumes you played the first 12 games.
Well, Tio. The other example we're using, Final Fantasy X, that doesn't have any previous things either. I'm talking about how he handled...
as well.
I'm talking about how he handled exposition. Like, well, I mean, he handled a lot of the scenes in 7, and even that handled exposition better. But...
Well, to be fair, Jova, the ones who actually wrote the script were Kitase and Nojima, not like he did direct some cutscenes, but he didn't write them. So technically, that would be more exposition is more about writing than direction.
Well, okay, it depends, especially in a video game, because well, when you're doing a video game though, the general writer is definitely the one who handles everything when it comes.
And we don't know who actually was responsible for what, so for all we know, it's just mass guessing.
And yet 7 still turned out great, but yeah.
Not to mention, to go back to what Tio said, 10-1, you don't even have to go back to 10. You can mention the first 13 game. The first 13 game was the first game of a brand new universe and all that shit. It was the first game of the Fabula Nova Crystallis bullcrap.
Yeah.
So...
What kind of a name even is Fabula Nova Crystallis?
Fancy name.
It's just Square having a weird fetish for incredibly overcomplicated names.
That's always the thing with them.
I don't mind that at this point. I just find it part of the charm, part of their stupid charm. But whatever. Regardless of that, the big problem.
Oh, never mind. Go on. Sorry.
13-1 was a brand new universe with brand new concepts, and yet it didn't have the baggage of being a sequel like the 13-2 in this game had. So. All it needed was to have one of its primary main characters be the audience surrogate, and yet none of them are. All of the characters in 13-1 already know everything, so they never talk about anything.
Is that even for the staff, when we should know, like, we should be the other characters' audience surrogate, like everyone from Cocoon, when they actually get to pause, so Sads, Lightning, Hope, and Snow, they should be the audience surrogate when they come to actually pause and actually learn what the truth is about it. The problem is, at that point, also Vanille and Fang are audience surrogates because pauses changes drastically over their absences. So even the opportunity is completely squandered.
And even with those circumstances, they could have done something like, okay, maybe have each character be an audience surrogate for things that they're not familiar with. Like Sass is a pilot, so of course he'd be the expert on stuff involving piloting. Lightning is a soldier, cop, or whatever, so of course she would be the audience surrogate for anything not involving that. Hope could have been the audience surrogate for stuff that's not in his expertise. Again, I go, okay, if you don't want to have one character be the sole audience surrogate, then have the characters be audience surrogates for, for parts of the world that they're not familiar with. Like, that's...
Vanille could have been for the first couple of hours because she's Pulse and has been relatively so little time on Cocoon. The problem is we need to build that stupid fucking mystery about her being the sole responsible for all the chaos in the game, so we cannot have the opportunity of that.
It's not even just that, Teo. I mean, even like it would make sense from a story standpoint to have Hope be the audience surrogate for every single thing because he's a kid. You can argue, you can just have him be the kid that is inexperienced, that doesn't know things, and there you go, problem solved. You know, Kuni 2 pulled this off flawlessly with Roland. Roland is, of course, the fish out of water character because, you know, he came from the real world into the world of Ni no Kuni. So basically, all the other characters have to explain things to him, which is explained to the audience. It's so simple, Toriyama. Why does this elude you so?
What do you think, Shiroi?
I'll get back to you on that.
Oh, here's one I'm guessing you'll agree. Steven is the audience surrogate in Steven Universe because he's the young one who still doesn't know how to use the jewels. Again, I'm talking about season 1 specifically. Mm-hmm. So obviously, the free gems explain things to him because he's the newbie who needs to be taught all this shit, and it's explained to the audience.
Steven actually learned and grew.
Exactly.
Well, yeah.
You know, okay, even if you don't want to make the main cast the surrogate, do what 7 did and have side characters be the surrogate or something. Jeez.
Like Barrett. Well, Barrett was the audience surrogate for all things, especially material and gameplay mechanic.
Yeah, like here's the thing. For the first half,
an interesting
maybe we should
we
drag
dragged this too long. See you for more lightning fuckery.
Mm-hmm.